Hello and welcome to the Home Business Radio Network. This is Melanie Militix coming to you from beautiful sunny Florida. And over the course of our show, I share with you how you can integrate online marketing skills with your offline network marketing model to create truly life-changing income in your home-based business. We're continuing the conversation today about balance. And I actually have a good friend of mine on the line, and she's a perfect guest for today's show because our first conversation actually started on Twitter, and it was in regards to balance. See, she's another work-at-home mom in network marketing, and she actually asked to talk to me. We had this conversation, and it was around how to maintain your balance with your kids around, and it was actually we were talking about yoga as well. So I want to welcome my good friend Deborah to the line. Deborah Tuttenauer, say hello.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me on the show, Melanie. I am thrilled to be here and to share some insights that I hope will help your listeners.
Awesome. Now, on the last show, we talked about the two ways that we can become really unbalanced in working our home-based business. And the first was people who feel like they don't have any time to work their business, and therefore they don't work their business and get ahead. And on the other extreme, there were people who were, essentially workaholics, working their business so hard that their families essentially come down on them and say, we can't stand what you do, which is, of course, not healthy for anybody at all. And I came up with a solution that actually addresses both, and that was the paper calendar, right?
Right.
And the paper calendar, number one being for me, having to be paper with my hands on it so that I can actually see the white space and see where the time is to work the business. And on the other hand, it's a way to see the limited time that we have so that we do the right activities during that time. Now, you recently brought to me a tool that has helped you incredibly with balance, because we had a conversation a few weeks ago, right? I believe it's at the new year?
Yep, right after the beginning of the new year.
And in that conversation, you shared with me that although last year had probably been one of the most successful business-wise, well, you tell the listeners what you told me.
Okay. Last year was an incredible year for me in business. I'm an intranet-based network marketer, but saying that, I spend most of my time on the telephone. I am very engaged with people one-on-one, and I had a phenomenal year business-wise last year. I love what I do. I'm so passionate about what I do, and I have a tendency to get a little sucked in to what I do. And by the end of 2011, I was very off balance in terms of the time that I spend with my daughter and the time that I spend with my husband, and even the ability to be having family time. And we're all together, and there I am, like checking my emails and on the telephone, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy. So it became really obvious by the end of 2011 that I needed to do something different. I needed to be more efficient. I needed to be more focused on the family time. I got into working at home for my family, and now my family was actually being neglected. So a change needed to happen, and I needed to take the skills that I knew I had, the skills that I coached other people in, and apply them to myself, and that is what I've done at the beginning of 2012.
And you did something that is so important, and what my understanding is you've got a tool from outside of yourself, right? If we really have to grab the tools of successful people and integrate them into our lives, because I don't know about you, I wasn't a business person before I started in network marketing, and if it wasn't for tools like the one you're going to give us, there's no way that any of us would be able to do our business. I mean, as a stay-at-home mom, we have sticky notes all over the place with, what you have to do, right? Or you have a to-do list. So if you could share with our guests the tool that you found and how it's helped you to actually achieve balance in your home business.
Yeah, let me tell them, and I'll be brief. In this day of all your online planners, people have their schedule on their iPhone or their schedule on their Outlook Explorer, those kinds of things. I find, first of all, I need to have paper. love a paper calendar because life is just not that organized, especially if you're wearing many, many hats. I need to be able to make circles and arrows and stars, and things need to flow. So it's got to be paper. Paper also, in my mind, allows you to see a big picture, especially if it's a big paper. And I use an 8.5 by 11 page. Each page is 8.5 by 11 planner. And so I can look at my daily schedule and see where things are happening, where the white spaces is schedule things in that need to happen for me, schedule in my exercise, schedule in my daughter's activities, schedule in a day with my husband, even break down my day and make sure that I'm really efficient in my day in terms of I'm going to be on the phone for these 2 hours, and I'm going to be creating something on the internet for this half hour, and then I'm going to call back follow-up calls in these hours. I've got to be able to see it. And after using many different planners for many different years, this year I landed with a Franklin planner, which allows you to think all the way from the macro level of what do I need to accomplish this month, to what do I need to accomplish this week, to what do I need to accomplish today, all the way down to what hour is each thing going to happen. And this planner has really helped me a lot, even though I had to learn how to use it. And that's, I think, the piece you were going to, Melanie, is I'm not a structured person. Even now, if you look at my desk, I've got pieces of paper all over the place with names and numbers and notes and designs all over them. But I'm working very hard to consolidate everything into the structure of the planner, because if I'm less scattered, then I'm more efficient. And if I'm more efficient, then I'm more balanced and there's more time for everything. And it's really been a wonderful thing, but it has been a learning journey.
Awesome. Everybody who's listening can agree that as an entrepreneur, you have a drive. You have something inside you that does get you up and does get you into your office or to your appointments. It gets you to do what you're doing. And you're going to do it regardless. But it's better to do it more efficiently, of course. And that's going to make you more money. The bottom line is your Franklin planner has helped you to balance your life in terms of family time, your mom hat, right? Your wife hat, your physical health, all of those things. And ultimately, it helps you to make, it's almost like you have more time. So now that you aren't totally out of whack and you're working less, how's your business doing at this point?
Surprisingly, and I wouldn't have believed it before because I'm such a control freak in a lot of ways, my business is actually doing better than it was doing when I was spending more time on it that was less focused. So my business is thriving. I've had to put some trust in the fact that that would indeed happen, and I've had to dig out of myself. I think all of you who are listening, and all people have within them a lot of skills that we don't give ourselves the opportunity to bring forward. And I've had to really bring forward out of myself the skill set of keeping my days organized, keeping my time organized, and trusting that by doing that, everything, in fact, would be better. And, in fact, it was a leap of trust, a leap of faith, and it has worked out so incredibly well that I'm thrilled. And I'm telling other people about it who I coach and who I train, and the reports that are coming back are, oh, my gosh, this is incredible. So it's been positive in every aspect.
Awesome. So your business is actually growing. It's thriving now that you've cut the fat. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about cutting the fat. Because if you've got a planner and you map out, this much time that you have to work on your home business, and you really put in the activities that are going to result in money, right? So the activities that actually get you paid, and you cut out the busy work. So let's talk to people who may have a limited time. Let's say they have a couple of hours in the evening to work their business. What sort of activities should they be doing to actually result in income? And how would you recommend, if you were coaching somebody, that they compartmentalize their time?
If we're just talking about the time that they have for their business, here's what I'd recommend. Regardless of whether you meet people through your work on the internet or whether you meet people in the grocery store, ultimately have FaceTime. It could be phone time, but interacting with the people that you're working with, interacting with the prospects, or I even like to call them the guests, who are wanting more information on what it is that you're doing. But FaceTime, interacting with people, is going to be the biggest chunk of time that people spend out of the time that they have. And then things that don't require that FaceTime, for instance, writing a blog post, can be done at a time of the day when it's not a really good time to contact people anyway, like later at night or early in the morning. Some people are really good early morning people, especially moms. Get up when the house is quiet and it's too early to make calls and everyone's still asleep, and have that time where you just are in your own thinking space. But the things that you can do outside of the hours when normal people are awake should be the things that don't need the interaction piece.
Right. So, in other words, prime time phone time, that's when we're talking to people, phone or face-to-face time, is really from 6 to 8 p.m., whatever time zone you're calling into. And then if you're going to do marketing, fine, do it after those hours, not during prime time. I think people definitely get caught up in activity versus productivity. And if you're not prospecting, presenting, closing, or training during those prime phone times, then you're missing the boat. And you may be striving and wondering why this thing doesn't work. But as you said, it's about people time. So can you just hit on, how many people a day should people be talking to when they're working their home-based business?
As many as possible?
Right. Yep. And
as many as possible, but I think that part of it is related to how much time you have. But if you only talk to 2 or 3 people per day, and a certain percentage of people are always going to say no, and a certain percentage of people are going to say yes, if you're only talking to 2 or 3 or 4 people a day, that doesn't give you a very huge pool. I think 10 to 20 people a day would be a really good number to shoot for someone who's working their business very part-time. And consistency, 20 people on Monday and no one again until the following Friday is probably not as good as 10 people Monday, 10 people Tuesday, 10 people Wednesday, 10 people Thursday, getting in your own rhythm of new calls, follow-up calls, new calls, follow-up calls. Because if you don't follow up, you've lost that fortune.
Awesome. And we're gonna bring you on again. We're gonna talk more about that process and how autoresponders actually work to kind of pick up a lot of that flack for those busy moms and busy people, period. So I want to thank you so much for being our guest today, Deborah Tutnauer from San Diego, California. I am Melanie Miletics, and stick with me, and I will share with you the exact skills that you need to have to make more money in today's market. We're going to combine online marketing skills with your network marketing model to create truly life-changing income. You can find me on the web at www.melaniemiletics.com. Click on the Home Business Radio Network tab and send me your feedback. Give me your comments. Let me know a topic that you love to hear on the next show. And until next time, from Deborah and I both, you've gotta dream big.